That's right, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode, actually the first episode of Crashing the Canvas. I'm your host, David Mitchell, aka Dirty Mitch, on this September 25th of the year 2022. We will get into the week that was of opinions, news, and rumors of the week that was in the world and sport of professional wrestling. Again, my name is Dirty Mitch, aka David Mitchell. You can find me on Twitter at ShowMeStateGoon, and you can also find me on Facebook at David Mitchell Jr. Let's get into it, shall we? Quick Impact news and notes of the that I noticed of the week. The Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, have finished up their time in AEW, or Impact. They've been with the company since 2020. They were three-time Impact World Tag Team Champions. They dropped the belts to, Matt Tavern and Mike Bennett. They then lost to, in a dream match, to the Motor City Machine Guns. And it was noted that one or both of them, I believe, I'm not sure, posted on Twitter that they were off to New Japan, back to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Said they had some unfinished biz. So to whatever tag team that they got some unfinished biz with, they're on their way. So as they say, shots fired. Now, on to some other news and notes. Let's go on to the NWA real quick. Not been much into the NWA as of late due to my work schedule, but I did watch the recent episode where it's had the Douche Canoes, the Cardona family, Mike Knox and VSK, and then they had the lead rower of the Douche Canoe, Matt Cardona, at ringside. Bully Ray, supposed to have a mystery partner, didn't have one. Worked most of the match without a partner at all, and then out of the blue, Tom Latimer shows up, gets the tag, gets the win. But it was the interaction afterwards that was kind of puzzling, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Tim Storm stated during commentary during the match that Bully, I believe, reached out to Latimer, and Latimer said no. And if that's true, and then Latimer shows up, in the match and then helps, secure the win, is there something there? Do we see something, a program coming with Bully and Latimer? Remains to be seen on that. But it'll be an interesting thing. Also noted, coming up at the Hard Justice pay-per-view, it was supposed to be Trevor Murdoch defending the precious 10 pounds of gold that I have right here, right? Against the Douche Canoe, Matt Cardona, right? Well, now there's an interesting twist for that Hard Justice pay-per-view that's down in New Orleans, as Tyrus has agreed to relinquish the NWA that I hold here, World Television Championship, and put his poker chip in the Lucky 7, I believe is what they call it, into the hat and make it a three-way. That'll be interesting to see. Also be an interesting note to see the continued saga of the Douche Canoe Cardona and Hall of Famer Bully Ray. Not sure if you guys have heard any of the interaction or anything on Busted Open Radio, which, by the way, is on Sirius XM satellite radio, channel 156, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Central to 11 a.m. Central. That's, 9 to noon on the East Coast, 6 to 9 out in Cali. If you're really out into it, 5 to 8 in Alaska. But check them out. Dave LaGreca, Hall of Famers Bully Ray, Mark Henry, future Hall of Famer Tommy Dreamer, Mickey James, Thunder Rosa, the hottest segment on Fridays, Gabby AF, and some of the hardest working producers in radio with Gabby, Gabby, Andre, and Paul. Getting a little technical difficulty. There we go. But check them out. If Sirius XM satellite radio, get it in your car, get the app on your phone, get it on any listening device. But whatever you do, just get it and listen, because you want to be informed and entertained all in the same show. That's the best wrestling show on the radio. But it's just interesting because Bully has a match coming up December 17th at the ECW Arena in Philadelphia against the Douche Canoe Cardona. And I'm just wondering, just hear me out here, if Cardona walks away hard justice NWA's world champion, Douche Canoe, you willing to put the 10 pounds of gold on the line against Bully in the ECW Arena? I don't think you got the balls to, but then again, you ain't got no brains, so stranger things have happened. Sure would love to see that, that's for sure. But anyway, check that out. NWA Hard Justice. I believe it's on Fight TV. Not sure. But moving right along real quick. We're going to run through Monday Night Raw real quick. The Brawling Brutes beat the Street Profits for a shot at the Usos Friday night on SmackDown, which we'll get into in a little bit. Damage Control comes out, and they set up a match with Alexa Bliss and Bayley. And then, in the end, Damage Control takes over, and you have it setting up Bianca and Bayley at Extreme Rules for the Raw Women's Championship. Now, a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, right? Just after, I'd say about 2-3 weeks after SummerSlam, the guys were talking on Busted Open, talking about Damage Control. Well, I don't even think they had a name, come up with a name yet, right? It was Io Shirai, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, and Bayley. And they were talking about taking over, and I might have been Bully, but they were like, what have they done, right, to warrant we're taking over, right? Well, now, fast forward, they got the women's tag team championships, and they have also Bayley going for the Raw Women's Championship at Extreme Rules. So now I think we kind of, jumped the gun on, Bayley and Damage Control in the beginning. So maybe they're building on that. It's just one of those slow builds. Let's see, what else did we witness on Raw? Kevin Owens versus Austin Theory, and I believe you're going to end up seeing a tag match. Kevin Owens beat Austin Theory. Kevin Owens, the hardest working guy in WWE right now, hands down. That's not in the bloodline, but I think you're going to see Kevin Owens and Johnny Gargano versus Austin Theory and Chad Gable at Extreme Rules in some type of Extreme Rules tag team match. Looks like what they were building for with that. You also had Bobby Lashley defeating Seth Rollins and in defending his United States Championship. To note on that, you had Matt Riddle come down. He didn't physically interfere, but it was just enough for that distraction with Seth Rollins to allow Bobby Lashley to pick up the victory. Now, what was interesting is later in the evening, Riddle teamed with Rey Mysterio to take on the Judgment Day. Absence from that, right? I think they missed a shot there. Foul, let me get it. Flag, 10-yard penalty for missed opportunity, right? To bring Rollins back out and maybe distract Riddle with the Judgment Day. So kind of a missed opportunity. Like I said, flag, 10-yard penalty, missed opportunity, right? But I think, I don't know, I think you're still going to get Riddle and Rollins at Extreme Rules, and it's just going to be a straight up fight, right? We're going to come back to SmackDown. I'm going to shift over to AEW right quick because to me, SmackDown was the show of the week. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But over to AEW, why we AEW set the bar. I think Raw came out, and to me, if you compared Raw, SmackDown, and AEW shows, I'm not going to speak on NXT 2.0 this week because the only news, that I have coming out of NXT was that Shawn Michaels had stripped Solo Sikoa of the NXT North American title due to some technicality stipulations. You wasn't supposed to be in the match, et cetera, et cetera. That's about. I didn't get a chance to watch it, so I don't want to critique it or add any news and notes on it. Want to kind of keep this honest a little bit, even though it is all opinion based. But man, AEW kicked it off on Wednesday night as part of Dynamite Grand Slam. Friday night was Rampage Grand Slam, but Dynamite Grand Slam kicked it off out the gate when you had Y2J, Chris Jericho. God, how many times does this guy reinvent himself and get himself over? Scored Ocho. He scored the Ocho, right? Scored the Ocho by beating Claudio Castagnoli for the Ring of Honor World title. We'll see where that goes. A lot of people are saying, why would you, take it off of Claudio so quickly? And I think, across the board, when you talk to wrestling veterans and legends, that will agree the reason why they did that is Tony Khan is trying to get a TV deal for Ring of Honor. So now you have an established commodity in the wrestling business that already brings, the tools with him. And Chris Jericho, you get the TV deal. Now, just like Chris Jericho did with AEW. Who was AEW's first world champion? I'll wait. Yeah, that same guy you guys are doubting why you put the Ring of Honor title on him. And let's see, where did they go after that? You got the Acclaimed, right? You got the Acclaimed, Caster and Bowens. Hey, they finally did it. Over Swerve and Our Glory. Scissor me, Daddy, scissor me. The Acclaimed are your new AEW World Tag Team Champions. And you want to talk about a pop? And I watched that match live as it happens. It happened. I didn't watch that one on DVR. And you want to talk about a pop and so many near finishes. And just when you thought the Acclaimed was about to get it, and I believe it was Max Caster went to jump off the out of the corner, and it looked like he buckled his knee, and it almost looked like that was where the Acclaimed, was going to lose, or hey, there was our climax, but no, hey, let it be, and did it, Billy Gunn right there with him, so hey, hats off to the Acclaimed, new AEW World Tag Team Champions. And you also had Pac, that bastard Pac, defending the All Atlantic title against Orange Cassidy. Pac, questionable means there at the end, but Pac comes out with the victory. That's why Pac is the only dual champion in AEW history. Is he's also 1/3 of the AEW Trios Championship. Then you had Toni Storm. You had Athena, Britt Baker, and Serena Deeb in a women's four-way for the AEW Women's World Championship. Now, here's a match that I caught the end of it just because I was getting ready for work for my real job, right? And I was like, okay, I'll come back and catch it on DVR, which is what I normally do. And because I'm a third shifter currently, getting ready to go to first shift. But Toni Storm had retained the interim. Let me put that title out there. Toni Storm is the interim right now, the current women's world champion interim women's world champion is Toni Storm. But the real women's world champion is none other than Thunder Rosa. And one day, Thunder Rosa is going to square off with one of these ladies and take her rightful place as the undisputed AEW Women's World Champion. But it wasn't the match per se that, caught my interest on this with AEW. It was the arrival of Saraya. Yes, Saraya, known to most wrestling fans as Paige, right? Didn't get physical, didn't grab a mic. Just the pop was in Arthur Ashe Stadium. If you listen to him, it was electric, right? So, and that was then how do you top all of that? You still had, the finals of the AEW World Title tournament, right? That was brought on as a result of the Tony Khan stripping CM Punk of the AEW World Title, right? You had your finals with Brian both of them, Blackpool Combat Club, right? Bryan Danielson versus two-time AEW World Champion Jon Moxley, right? And in the end, Jon Moxley became your first three-time AEW World Heavyweight Champion. It's going to be interesting to see where they're going with that, which brings me to Grand Slam Rampage. And I didn't, no disrespect, let me talk about MJF for a moment. Love the character. But when you put your fucking hands on a legend like Tony Schiavone, you cross the fucking line, right? Tony Schiavone is on the Mount Rushmore of fucking wrestling announcers. You don't fucking believe me? You go listen to the NWA in the 80s. You go listen to how many Great American Bashes, how many Starcades, right? How many Saturday nights on TBS, how many iconic moments. Tony Schiavone was on the mic when Hulk Hogan joined the NWO, you dipshit. You want to push him down, all because he said you went a little bit too far by disrespecting William Regal? I get it. You're a piece of shit. But you put your hands on a fucking legend like Tony Schiavone, you cross the line, right? The only thing I wish is Taz was still in shape to get up off that fucking table and fucking put your ass in the Taz mission. But you don't want none of Moxley. Or you might think you do. You couldn't even beat Wardlow. But I do like the pop you're bringing back, right? But speaking of Moxley, he will go against Juice Robinson. It's been announced Wednesday on Dynamite is a world. This is one thing I don't understand. It's being billed as a AEW world title elimination bout, meaning it's a non-title bout. But if Juice Robinson beats him, he gets a future world title shot. Why have that against the champion, y'all? Like, for real. Why have that against the champion? You have that against a guy like a Wardlow, a Powerhouse Hobbs, a Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, a Chris Jericho, a Claudio Castagnoli. You don't have a world title elimination bout against the world champion. That just don't make sense. But nonetheless, but you also had, now here's what gets interesting. Of all this media scrum stuff that happened after All Out, right? And all in all, it depends on whose side you believe, which side you've listened to so far. CM Punk, Adam Page, Hangman Adam Page, got the ball rolling with these receipts or whatever. Anyway, it's kind of odd, though, the one person involved in this, because he wasn't, involved in the physicality after the scrum, is Hangman Adam Page won the Golden Ticket Battle Royal for a world title shot against Jon Moxley. Man, how ironic. Just follow me this for a minute. Follow this. Okay, think about a timeline, right? And I'm just days to be exact. Okay, rewind to MJF, right? What was that, Double or Nothing? He no-showed the meet and greet, came out, got his ass whooped by Wardlow, came on Rampage or Dynamite, cut the promo of the year at that point, But then he was quote unquote suspended, right? Now let me say this. One thing I think Tony and them AEW created was smart is even if the MJF stuff was a work, and I'll get to that part in a minute, is you take him off the merchandise. If we want to make it look like we're washing our hands of him, we take him off our pages, our merchandise. We don't mention nothing of him, yada yada yada. And they did that, right? Let's see, what was it? June, July, August, right? September. Wait, July, August, September. Okay, think about this with MJF, right? Roughly 90 days, right? That he was off programming, TV mentioned, and then he shows up at All Out. He's the Joker, yada, yada, yada. Now, think about this. Maybe he really was suspended, right? For the verbiage, of in that promo, the vulgar cuss words, right? Because at that time, the time of the show it was on. Okay. Now, fast forward to this. They've got to be punished, right? They've got to be punished. If their punishment is part of a work, right? Their punishment is the shoot to turn into a work where it's about a 90-day suspension, 60-day suspension, depends on who's getting suspended. I mean, who are they all getting the same? Are they all, is one getting less? But if it's that, think about that. Moxley goes, a few title defenses here and there. Adam Page cashes in that golden ticket, becomes world champion again, just in time for CM Punk to come back. Just an idea, point to ponder, put the pencil to paper, as Bully would say, and book it. I mean, if I was in charge of making it happen, which brings us to Friday Night SmackDown, right? Now, before I get to this, I'm going to try to find some audio when I get to... I'll talk about Liv Morgan and so Liv Morgan, Lacey Evans had a match, and Liv Morgan I forget, she wins, and then she brings out a kendo stick, reminded me of Dreamer, and Sandman in the ECW days. How ironic that they're going there for Extreme Rules. Utters a thing, is that extreme for you enough? We'll see you at Extreme Rules, right? So I think they're trying to, toughen up, make the Liv Morgan character look a little tough. So with that being said, I think it'll add a new element to the story of Liv Morgan, Ronda Rousey, because let's face it, on paper and on appearance, Ronda would annihilate Liv Morgan, right? But if we are going to make this a little bit more believable and get a little bit more traction out of it, we have to make Liv look tough, and I think I think they hit a double with it. Not a home run, not a grand slam, but they didn't strike out. But they got a double, right? They got on base. And so, with that being said, let's move on to Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns, right? I can see why they go with it. You look, WrestleMania is in April. This is September, right? You got October, November, December, January, February, March, right? You got 6 months to fill in, right? Really 4, because you would think by January they're going to have their WrestleMania plans if it is what every fan wants in LA, and that is Rock and Roman for the main event of Day 2 WrestleMania. Then you got to have it in place, at least start more hints. I guarantee you by February you better know, or at least you want to get all the promotion out of it. You notify by then. But which brings me to the highlight of SmackDown, and it's crazy that the highlight was the promo at the beginning. Now, that's not taken away from none of the rest of the show, right? But that promo was perfect. On point, told a story about each and every individual up there on the stage. Paul didn't have to tell a story about himself because we know about Paul, right? But, like I said, and I called into this on Busted Open on Saturday morning, I couldn't wait, right? I couldn't wait because Paul Heyman said something that I think planted the seed. I said planted the seed that we will get Rock and Roman main event WrestleMania. Let me see if I can get this to play.
The home turf tribal chief, Roman Reigns. So now that Drew McIntyre has another bridge to cross, it wasn't the tribal chief's idea, and while some people might like to take credit for it being their idea, no. The idea
here it comes
for Solo is that Solo was sent by the elders of the Samoan dynasty.
Did you hear that? Solo was sent by the elders of the Samoan dynasty. I'm going to play that one more time just so you can kind of get the gist of it. Solo, who is the younger brother of Jimmy and Jey Uso, right? Wasn't recruited by them, wasn't recruited by his older cousin Roman, wasn't recruited by Paul, wasn't even recruited by the honorary Uso, Sami Zayn, but he was sent by the elders. Let me get that one more gen, right? Where are we at? No. Here we go.
To take credit for it being their idea, no. The idea for Solo is that Solo was sent by the elders of the Samoan dynasty. Solo was sent because Brock Lesnar took out the wise man, because the Usos have enough on their plate, and someone has to stop these conspiracies against your tribal chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns.
Now, last week on Busted Open, I believe it was on Monday's episode. You guys can go check that out on their archives. That's Busted Open on SiriusXM Satellite Radio Channel 156. In their archives on an episode, I believe it was Monday of last week. And Mark Henry, I believe it was posed something about the bloodline, but he talked about a conversation that he had with Ada Johnson, who is the daughter of the High Chief Peter Maivia, and who is also the mother of Dwayne The Rock Johnson, right? And he talked about, a little bit on the radio about the, Polynesian bloodline and Samoan bloodline as far as the lineage of who, basically, the High Chief Peter Maivia was the George Washington, as he described. He was the first, right? The rest came, right? So if you look as far as you want to throw a little monarchy, lineage-wise, and who is the, heir to the throne, you would think his next would be his grandson, right? That's just, might be wrong on, who determines who's next or who's not, right? But as far as a story because I've said this over and over, that's a story that doesn't need a championship, right? And if you want to move to either pull the title off of Roman or, take a title off of him, you don't need it. If you have it on there, fine, because this isn't about a title. You could go to WrestleMania with Roman as the champion versus The Rock and it not have to be for the title. This is about family supremacy, right? And like Mark started to state, man, that would be an awesome story to tell because, I mean, if you look at it, okay, yeah, we've lost a couple, right? We've lost the High Chief Peter Maivia. We've lost Yokozuna. We've lost Aki Umaga. We've lost Matt Anoa'i, Roman's brother, who was Rosie. Rosie or Jamal, but it was 3-minute warning or 2-minute warning, whichever. Eric Bischoff, and then he became the superhero with the Hurricane, but we've lost them, but there's still so many, right? And you have generations, a generational gap between the elders and the younger generation. And it's almost like The Rock is stuck in the middle at the end of the elders, where Roman is stuck representing the new generation. So it'd be an awesome story to tell, but I just found that odd that that was on there, and that and Paul said that, and I got to credit Bully Ray for listening to him about just picking up on little stuff. And hey, what'll be cool is if that turns out to be true and they do get Rock Roman, I am going ape crap with all of that. I tell you that, because I won't say that I came up with it, but good gosh, your boy had an idea in it. But no, so we'll see what goes on. We'll see what happens on the no pay-per-view tomorrow. This is a football Sunday. I hope the Cowboys win, and everybody else in the NFC East loses. Big congratulations, shout out to St. Louis Cardinal Albert Pujols, as he becomes only the fourth major leaguer. Friday night became only the fourth major leaguer in history to hit 700 home runs. Next stop, Cooperstown. But my Cardinals are in the playoffs, so we might have to head to Cooperstown with another World Series trophy to go with him. And man, what a season to go out with. Went out with two guys you came in with, Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright. Man, but big shout out to Prince Albert on that. With that being said, I want to end the show with this. This was my very first episode of this. I was kind of nervous. I was kind of, something I always wanted to do. I've always had a gift for gab. Always used to try to be funny. Always loved pro wrestling. This past Friday, Dave LaGreca had an episode on the episode of Busted Open. It was highlighting the bright side of the ring. And I've had, a lot of cool interactions with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities and talent over the years. But I I want to take the time to give this shout out to another bright side of wrestling is us wrestling fans. We are a cult and a group like no other, right? And I never realized what an impact we can have on each other's lives as fans, right? Until WrestleMania this year at the Busted Open party in the roast of Dave LaGreca. Met a lot of pretty awesome and cool people while I was there, right? And a bunch of them have a podcast and a group called Nation's Corners. And, I've interacted with a few of them on Facebook. Well, last night was my first time interacting with them on their show, right? You want to talk about a good, awesome group of guys, man, and we all, the cool thing, one of them said, us as wrestling fans, we come from all walks of life, right? I mean, you got people in this group. You got, bank executives. You got police detectives. You got truck drivers. You got sheet metal fabricators. You got old people, young people, smart people, not so smart people. I'm just joking on that last one. I guess we're all a little off our rockers, believing in fake, believing in suspended reality. But they welcomed me into their group, man, and it was just a pretty cool thing to interact with, man. So I need to give a big shout out to, let's see, I don't want to get anybody's Twitter handle wrong, so I'm not going to give those out. But PW Front Row, Deadhead, Mongorvian Mike, Steve, Tony Justice, you guys rocked out last night, man, and thanks for making me feel like I was a part of the show just by answering questions and agreeing with comments that I made. That hit here, right? And big shout out to you, Tony. I want to say this just because I don't want to say this to everybody. Everybody, the next time, big shout out to all your first responders and military personnel. And they deserve every pat on the back, every open door, every thank you, every paid for meal, right? But also, think about a truck driver in mind next time you're at a gas station or at a restaurant, a truck stop, whatever, diner. You see that man or woman in that, that just got out of that 18-wheeler, come in for a bite to eat, tank of gas, cup of coffee or whatever. Give them thank you too. Why? There's nothing around us. Nothing. You can look at anything behind me, anything in front of you, anything. All came through the trailer of an 18-wheeler. Those men and women put their lives on the line every day. Every vehicle they come in contact with could be a potential wreck. Every hairpin turn could be a potential wreck, right? You think about 1,100 miles, right, one way, and they're living the life of a wrestler without taking the bumps. They're on the road that much. So big shout out to all the truck drivers. Again, I want to thank you guys. This has been, quote unquote, the inaugural episode of Crash the Canvas. All right. Anyway, technical difficulties there, and we'll fix that up in the edit. Anyway, guys, thanks for, just being awesome, man. And you guys can, once again, you guys can hit me up on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, David Mitchell Jr. You can also follow me on Twitter at Show Me State Goon. That's at SHOWMESTATEGOON, right? Once again, that's at Show Me State Goon. And you guys can find Nation's Corner at Nation's Corner on Twitter. Right? But that music says it's time to go. I want everybody to be kind, be safe, have fun. And if you're going to crash, make sure and crash the canvas. We'll talk to you next week.